of the government's privatization of public entities, the first being the Kenya Pipeline Company. The initial public offering was opened on the 19th of January this year, and is set to close. The sale of those shares is set to close on the 19th of February. And the government is divesting about 65% stake to raise 106 billion shillings. And we'd just like to make sense of that, what that means for investing, for Kenyans accessing investment options, government accessing funding. And to have this conversation with me in studio is Shadrack Manyinsa. He is a research analyst at Pagamon Investment Bank. Karibu sana, Shadrack.
Thank you.
Awesome. So maybe you could just give us a context of how we got here.
Yeah, so I'm from Pagamon Investment Bank. I'm Shadrack Manyinsa, a research analyst. So in terms of how we got in terms of probably the privatization. Yeah, this is part of, it's like looking for entities, most of the public entities, especially these, most of them are not making profits, and it could be better for the government to release them to the public, especially to the private sector, and that can support in terms of profitability for these entities. Most of them will become more profitable in the hands of the private sector, especially the locals, and that is the reason why we had, of course, the IPO. Part of the same is to raise capital in terms of money for the government, and number two, to increase liquidity in the market, promote the capital markets in the market, in a way, is a way sensitizing the market on how probably the capital markets can be enhanced, what it involves. So this is part of, like, we had the last IPO being issued quite some time ago. That is, the best example is Safaricom, which was the best, but then we can see where it currently is. So it's an investment option to the public, which enables now investors to invest with an opinion, or rather a forward-looking for returns in the future. Definitely, it might not be in the next few months, but a long-term investment.
You mentioned Safaricom. That was listed, or rather that was the largest public offering in the region, actually, in East Africa. The one that we have now, KPC, is the largest since the 2008 Safaricom IPO offering. And the one that is being sold right now is at 9 shillings per share. The minimum is 100 shares, so that is 900 shillings. That is fairly affordable for the public, right?
True, it's very affordable at a pricing of 9 shillings per share. It could be fairly affordable, but now you might look at it from the valuation point of view, which I believe is okay. And then looking at now, probably something that was not added might be land, which is KPC has quite massive land holding, and part of that, if you can look at it now from that perspective, the valuation is okay.
Right.
So the pricing, at a pricing of 9 shillings per share, a minimum of 100, and then post-listing, it will come, even one share can be traded. Very affordable. Yeah.
And why is it important for Kenyans to get a share of this critical infrastructure?
A major key reason is for you to be, it's a national entity, it's a local national entity, which everyone should be part of it in a way that you can share the national cake. Like now, KPC is a profit-making entity, makes profits. Number two, these profits are distributable to of course, the shareholders, the ultimate shareholders, which means that you are looking to invest in an income-generating company with a very high potential for future growth. So number two could be capital gains. It has a potential for capital gains. We are seeing Kenya is a gateway to the East African community. So part of the oil that, okay, I didn't explain, first of all, that KBC is an oil throughput entity. It deals with in terms of transporting oil from the sea to the mainland. And then, now part of that oil that it transports, it exports to the regional markets. And part of these regional markets include Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan. So a half of it is actually exported. So you can look at Kenya in a wholesome way, where we are a bit developed, and looking to the future, probably our neighboring countries are also developing. So that means more revenue for the entity, which means more income for any investor who is likely to invest. Yeah.
And then if that is the case, why privatize a profit-making company?
First of all, is to focus on national agendas, especially government agendas. So in a way, it's like the government is looking for let's focus on one thing, on performing for the common mwananchi. So, and then let's leave these others to be supported by the private sector. Number two, it could be, a major reason could be to make it even more profitable. Look for a good case will be Safaricom. It was a government entity 100% owned by the government when it was listed, and now how it is. In terms of what we call as corporate governance, it improves corporate governance. So in a way, even decision making, it will become more easier for decision making for an entity that is publicly listed, and then corporate governance is improved. In terms of the bureaucracies in the government, most of them will be eliminated. Like now, according to the management, they said they had some proposals which have been there for a long time without approval. So in a way, we are looking for these proposals could be made easier. Some of the things they can do, like now, diversification of revenue away from the oil export or oil transport can be done more easier. They have other objectives or other strategies that can be implemented faster in the private sector compared to the government sector. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about corporate governance, take us through how that is set to be improved.
Now, on corporate governance section, we have CMA, or rather NSC, CMA in collaboration with NSC, in collaboration with all the intermediaries. They have a corporate structure that governs all listed entities. And part of this corporate structure, it helps now to streamline decision making in terms of even the board decision. Onboarding new board members, of course, that will change, not the current, which are mostly the government. So that will improve in oversight, the company oversight. And of course, ultimately, when you improve your governance, definitely the end goal is to generate more revenue. So as that corporate, all the structure of the company is changing, where we'll have now 65%, or rather 6 out of 10 of the board members will be now from the private. That will promote now in terms of transparency in decision making, and of course it will be more easier to make decisions on how this is the agendas we have. This is what we need. Even financing will be easier in the private compared to the government. So in a nutshell, this will help in terms of finally making the entity more even profitable than when it's at the start of the government. Yeah.
And just comment on how important that such IPOs or the privatization will distribute wealth to the Kenyans.
Now, of course, we expect participation. That is how it is structured. There is retail, who are local mwananchi. There is also corporates. So, and of course, there is the East African holdings, of course, with the other, the composition of how it is structured. Now, the common mwananchi who will invest, like, let's say 100 shares in the stock, definitely, in the long term, let's assume that stock will grow to around 15 shillings in the next, like, 3 or 5 years. Definitely, you have made a capital gain. A common mwananchi had made some capital gains, and then there is an aspect of dividend payouts, which the company has promised to pay at least 50% of its earnings to the shareholders. So definitely that means income to the individual shareholder, who is the common mwananchi, and then prospects for, of course, growth in terms of the prices. So I look at it two-way. And another thing I can say, of course, it will cushion for inflation. There are other things like the stock is very liquid. So in a case where you might need money, still that the stock is tradable in the NSE market, which means it's very liquid. It can be, of course, liquidated anytime. So for emergency cases, it still makes it a perfect option. And then for growth in terms of capital preservation, in terms of wealth creation, a long-term goal. it's a good investment. Yeah.
Let's talk about investor education. We know that investments in the capital markets, they've been growing over the past few years. There was a time you could not even imagine it, but now it's very, very easy, you know, with even technological tools. Tell us about the role of investment banks, investment industry in general, in ensuring that there's inclusivity in investment.
Now, part of the roles of investment banks, not only Pagamon or any other, part of it is to onboard clients, to train these clients, to train retail clients, and then make them aware this is now what you're entering in. So it's increasing awareness to the market as part of course, that is part of the CMA, who is the regulator, but now as intermediaries, investment banks come in terms of training, doing valuations, of course, making recommendations of different investments that are available, and then making it easy now. Like now we have fully gone online. Like Pagamon Investment Bank, we are fully online. You can open an account end to end just at the comfort of your seat. Yeah. And then from there, of course, there is continuous trainings, like now we are having, immediately after this, we have a webinar where we are training, how do you go, what is the process from the start to the end. So we take you through a journey of investment, right from onboarding, even continuously as you build your wealth. So part of it is to create awareness, of course, now increase, now in terms of the uptake, we are present in terms of the social media, in terms of now making it more aware to the public, especially to the young generation, where now they can be able to onboard themselves at the comfort of their zones. So it is easy, it's critical for investment banks in that they create awareness, and of course they facilitate the investment process from the start to the end. Yeah.
Now, I will stay there with the financial literacy because 70% of Africa's adult population is financially illiterate, and it starts from childhood, so to say, you know. You grow up not knowing how to treat money, and then you get a job, now you have money. It takes a few years of, you know, guesswork before you figure out what to do with the money. So I would like to hear from you in terms of what more can be done to ensure that people are financially literate and are making sound investment decisions.
More can be done, especially on from the digital side, and then it should be made easier. For example, investing should be made as easy as possible, such that some of the limitations, like the cost of transaction, can be reduced to the minimum possible. Of course, there should be government interventions, like for example, there can be incentives for listing, for other new listings to be onboarded. Like now you can look at agriculture, we can have others to come in. And then in terms of the requirements for listing, some of them can be reduced such that we can have like more SMEs, because part of the capital markets is to create what we call like capital. So the requirements for that should be lowered. I understand that CMA in liaison with the NSC, they have a sandbox where at least they take through someone or a company or a corporate through a process of financing, and then of course now at the end of it, it should not be left there. There should be go now onward up to more SME listings. We should increase our listings from the current around 66 companies to even more, to include more. And then part of the governance should be strengthened. Corporate governance, which is a key in the sector, should be much strengthened so that investor returns will be there. If a company has a dividend policy, they should be able to adhere to that. So investor returns should be there. And of course now continuous training, like what we are doing currently, that is very key because it helps now to make someone aware and on board. We have currently onboarded actually so many clients through this engagement. So you can imagine if we had like 3 IPOs or 4 IPOs in a year, that can, of course, it will increase market sensitization. I know through the privatization, we have had some roadshows. That is very key. We have had to go to the common man, to the markets, which now is very key in terms of the training. some people don't know. Some of them, they don't even watch some programs like this. So those trainings, those shows should be increased. And then now the government should focus on how do we sensitize or how do we onboard more companies to be listed. Like now, we have many banks, of course, which might not reach the threshold of maybe capital. Could there be like a merger and then reduce the requirements for that, such that they can onboard and be listed in the NSE market? Mm-hmm. So that will increase awareness generally.
Mm-hmm. So if someone wanted to purchase these shares, take them step by step, how is this supposed to be done? Okay,
the first thing is to understand what is going on. KBC, in terms of it's currently, of course, it's a government entity, but that is being listed. Now, understand why should I invest? Part of the reasons why I should invest, I'm looking for investment options, and the capital markets provide that. So now the process flow, it starts from, of course, first of all, creating an account, having a CDS account. That is very key. And we, as Pagamon Investment Bank, you can go to our website. There, you can create an account within hours. Within like 30 minutes, you should be able to create an account. From there, after creating an account now, that is the first step. And then now, there's the second step of now applying. Of course, now the money should be available. Of course, some savings should be there. And then now you channel that savings to the IPO. Actually, from now, we have more trainings, like now today. And then after this, there is a training for how to onboard from the start to the end. I wish I could have come with my presentation, but now it's something that you can do at the comfort of your sitting room. Mm-hmm. So somebody should be able to create an account. Number two, go online, check there is a link there, of course, how to apply there. Now, that is KBC IPO something. Then, after you have logged in, then there is a process flow. It's a very simple process flow that one can take through. Number one, now you select your agent, who are now the investment banks and brokers, where Pagamon, we are part of it. And then there is a process, you indicate your CDS account on that portal, on the online application portal. And then from there, the number of shares you are applying for, you can indicate. It will auto-populate the amount you'll pay. Then there is an option where you can, of course, indicate your bank account in case of a subscription, which we foresee, and then for refunds. Then from there, after all that, you go, it will prompt you for payments. On the prompt for payments, you can choose either to pay now or pay later. We advise pay now, because the timing is, the deadline is next week.
19th,
yeah. Which means you need to pay right now, and then, of course, now the process flow will continue. But in case you apply for more amounts, maybe that you cannot transact on M-Pesa, you can pay later. It will give you a code on your message. You can transfer through bank to the 3 banks that are listed there. Mm-hmm. And that is the process flow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the accessibility is definitely being made easier by investment banks such as yours. And even remember yesterday, was it yesterday or the other day, when ZD Trader was launched? Yeah, in collaboration with Safaricom and NSE. And so let's talk about let's call it the democratization of the capital markets and where we are headed in terms of accessing those investment options.
Okay. Making investment easier, going digital is making that very easy. Mm. So going like what the government launched in liaison with a player in the market, launching CD, applying at the comfort of your phone, then it's the best way to do things. Mm-hmm. Just like I told you, one can apply for a CDS account, one can make an application, one can make a payment right on phone. That is the way to go, and actually that is the future of investment in the capital markets. So I think currently what was done is the best to be emulated. Mm-hmm. We are looking how we can partner in terms of how we can come in as an investment bank, such that we can also bridge the gap that exists. Mm-hmm. So that we can have more onboarded, and then now anyone can apply. using, of course, maybe M-Pesa or other platforms, then that is what we are looking forward to.
Right. Still on the KPC IPO, should the way it has been done, should this be a blueprint for other state-owned enterprises, the privatization process? What do you think?
I think it should be the best example to be emulated, especially being made as simple as applying on your phone. And as it is made that a bit cheaper, that is the best example that we can follow. Using a USSD code to apply such that whoever has a small phone can still apply for the same, it's the best thing that has ever been done. So it is something that, of course, it might not be perfect, but along the way, we are reaching where now, making it more democratized, more people can apply, anyone can apply. Actually, now, even through sending messages, it is making even that sensitization possible. Even on that message, we have a link or a USSD code, which makes it very perfect, very simple and seamless. So I can say it's a good way to go.
It's the way to go.
Yeah.
Right. And how will we, in terms of we Kenya, achieve a balance in terms of government control? I know that government is remaining with 35% stake once the 65% is offset, and the participation of citizens in these strategic investments. How do we balance that?
Now, in terms of government control, as much as we might have probably more than 65% holding by the non-government, of course, now at those sitting at the table of decision making, at least there will be more than what the government will give. Except that now, something like IPLA will remain as a regulator in terms of the pricing, which will cushion at least the entity. And a part of that, it will help, even the pricing itself, actually, they factor in what developments have been done. So, to answer your question, to control, or rather to remove more of government, is to increase more of the private holding. To increase that, like what they have done in terms of Safaricom, offloading more to the market. That means, of course, decision making will be more easier, no control from the government side. Mostly the decisions will be made by the private sector, which is the best thing that can be done. Yeah. So it's more of now making it more private than the government, and then now leaving a little control from the government, like what is done, and even reducing it further. But now ensuring that goes to the beneficiary. Local investors should invest more, should be educated to invest more, such that we can benefit. Like now, this is an asset that is in Kenya, and it's good for us as Kenyans to benefit from it, more than even foreigners.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how do such public listings enhance the economic resilience of the country?
Now, part of the capital markets is to, of course, provide liquidity and provide avenues for other investments. Like now, one can be able to easily buy and sell probably shares or bonds. That is part of what is being solved by the capital markets. So now, in terms of making it easier, it will be possible by now increasing probably the regulatory point of view. There should be a check on that. Number two, in terms of, can you repeat the question? The
question was how such public listings can enhance economic resilience for the country that is Kenya and maybe other countries.
Okay. In terms of how they enhance the economy, of course, the capital markets provide, it makes capital to the economy. It helps the economy to grow in a way that it can attract more, for example, foreign direct investment to the country, which is very key in terms of development. It helps, for example, a company that is those businesses, companies or businesses that do not have capital, of course, to raise capital. Now, it makes it possible for the money to flow from the savers to those who need to do business, which makes now, in terms of the GDP growth or a growth of an economy, it improves through that. Because capital is able to flow to where it's required. capital can flow, and also it provides now, if this company has grown to a certain extent, you can still exit and look for other options. So number one, it helps in terms of savings because it provides avenues for like alternative investments apart from bank savings. So it provides other alternative investments like now shares or bonds, whatever, or other maybe private equities, all those. And number two, it helps now capital. This was the first actually, capital to flow in to make now businesses to thrive. And of course, when businesses thrive like Kenya, we have a contribution of around 55% of the private sector contribution to the GDP. So that is likely to even grow. So our GDP, or rather, even for the government, is able to collect more taxes, or rather more revenue to the government as businesses thrive. So in a way, there are many ways how it can help actually in terms of the economy. Those are two ways, but more are like now, definitely in terms of employment, if a company is well managed, definitely there will be more employments. And then definitely capital will be able to grow. As capital grows, definitely the economy will grow. Mm-hmm. So in instances like manufacturing, if they are listed, of course there are some there, so definitely they'll have to, in terms of growth, that company, how the checks and balances are done, how we look at the balancing in terms of management. So it helps to improve that, and of course eliminate probably corruption, and definitely benefit the shareholders. As a whole, a community will benefit. In terms of a community benefiting, there is also that what is called as in terms of giving back to the community. These companies have a mandate to give back to the community. So that is also part of the economic growth. And then once they thrive, once they grow, definitely you will see things like roads being developed. Like now, of course, the government, or rather listings, there is an avenue for some new products which help, for example, infrastructure bonds help to develop roads. Other things like green bonds, also they help to come up with that something that can help, or rather that is economically secure for instances of like now for the economy, for the social, and also something on the ESG. So they helps to look at all those, and of course safeguard the economy, safeguard the society. Of course, definitely, at the large end, the economy has grown through that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
of course, when these 106 billion shillings is raised, it will go to the exchequer. And of course, Kenyans have been very vocal about the borrowing that has been happening over the years. And this money going to the exchequer, and of course, more privatization of more government-owned entities is going to happen. So do we foresee a reduction in say, the debt bill by the government? Because more is being injected now to the government as opposed to going to borrow out there.
Something they said is the money is supposed to go to, there's a national
infrastructure fund.
Yeah. So it might not go directly to the exchequer, mm-hmm. but then it will help now ease the burden. For example, developments of infrastructures like our roads. Mm-hmm. So once it goes that direction, then definitely from the government side, a budget that should be catered towards roads will have to reduce. And definitely, as much as it might not have a greater impact in the near term, but in the long term, there is a likelihood that our debt public burden is likely to come down. Although not for now. There are more measures that it should be looked at. Yeah. Because 108 billion, 6 billion compared to a debt of around 12 trillion. Yes. That is really a drop. It's
quite a lot, yeah.
So it might not cater for now, but if we go that way, then in the long term, there is a way of easing that burden. And then, of course, definitely, if this, like now, if we develop some roads like the Mau, Summit Road, if that is developed and some revenue is generated from there, then definitely that will ease a burden on the exchequer, which will mean that some revenue is being generated, less of less of borrowing will happen. But as of now, I don't see something much on it, except that now the austerity measures from the government should be, let them be practical, let them be like deliberate to reduce the burden on from the public debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Remember, we are making sense of the Kenya Pipeline Company IPO that was issued. 65% stake is being offloaded by the government to raise 106 billion shillings. That particular offering opened on the 19th of January and is set to close in a few days on the 19th of February. And each share is being sold at 9 shillings. The minimum purchase is 100 shares, which is a minimum of 900 shillings that you can spend to buy that particular share offering. And I am having this conversation with Shadrach Manyinsa, who is a research analyst at Pagamon Investment Bank. We want to take a quick break. When we come back, this conversation continues. You can ask us your questions on X. We are at KBC Channel 1 across all social media platforms. My personal handle is at Betty Kiptum. Do stay with BizCheck.
As of May 2025, the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, reported that Kenya had thus far registered over 9,000 electric vehicles. But these vehicles are majorly imported, with foreign markets as seen as pioneers of electric vehicle manufacturing. However, local manufacturers are rising to the occasion, joining in the race armed with the vision of producing locally made EVs.
Going forward, this vehicle shall be able to be fabricated not necessarily from one particular place, but people who are licensed as body fabricators of vehicles, they can fabricate depending on the locality needs.
This particular prototype solar EV, developed by Eco Mobilis, uses these solar panels on its roof to harness the sun's energy, and then tops up lithium-ion batteries on the base of the vehicle to store up charge every other time. So when the vehicle is turned on, the display on the dashboard shows parameters. The charge controller on the solar panel assists other auxiliary functions, such as the horn, wipers and lights. The controls on this vehicle includes a brake and an acceleration pedal. Without an engine, it lacks the use of a clutch system entirely. Paul Waweru, the Chief Operating Officer at Eco Mobilis, demonstrates the ease at which motion is achieved.
Now I'm turning the key. So now the vehicle is on. If I disengage the handbrake like that, so I just need to press the accelerator a bit, and the vehicle starts moving.
This notwithstanding, local manufacturers say the EV development journey presents what they say are gaps that can still be filled to assure the growth of the local EV manufacturing industry.
In an ordinary factory, you are likely to face a lot of challenges, including high tariffs on electricity and other resources that are very important for you to be able to build such a vehicle. Again, we are looking at the question of financing, because we need a lot of financing. This venture is extremely expensive.
Companies like Eco Mobilis say they are still optimistic about the future in local manufacturing. Kenya is making stride in e-mobility adoption. However, Issues like that of the e-mobility draft policy is yet to capture the local essence of local manufacturing of e-mobility vehicles. Alan Auko, Take One.
Welcome back. You're watching BizCheck here on KBC Channel 1. I am with Shadrach Manyinsa, who is a research analyst at Pagamon Investment Bank, discussing how to invest at the stock market, making sense of the Kenya Pipeline Company IPO, where the government is divesting 65% of its stake to raise 106 billion shillings. And we have talked quite a lot about that. I'd like to hear from you, Shadrach, if there are any risks to this particular investment.
Definitely, and any investment has some risks. There is an aspect of price volatility. So definitely also in terms of execution of the strategy, what they have said in terms of how they will execute their strategy, there is a risk where if they don't execute that strategy, then that means what is projected will not deliver. So there are risks which include, of course, the market risks, which are likely to change things, like what we saw during the COVID. And definitely other risks can come in, like the trade risk, the prices of oil. That is the pricing of oil generally globally. The prices, if they change, then definitely that is a risk. Then also there is a risk in terms of how the company is likely to perform their financial performance, which will, of course, impact the company and the prices. There is also a risk in terms of dividend payout, because dividends are not, sometimes they are not guaranteed. So if the company does not perform well, then those who invest because of income through dividends, then definitely that is a very big risk. So there are many risks. However, the capital markets has put in some good framework which helps in terms of to mitigate some of these risks. So I look at it, any investment has a risk. I'll look at it from the positive side of it, where we expect the company to grow. In the long run, we expect it to perform better. And therefore, I'll say it's a good investment. Yeah.
So from a regulatory perspective, you're saying things are solid on that end?
From the CMA perspective, they are doing a good job in terms of regulatory or the oversight. And of course, even CMA, they are doing a good job in terms of offering the systems, offering the market. So even them, they are doing a bit of regulatory, which is quite good. So from the compliance and risk perspective, I can say the ball is on the new management, which will be onboarded immediately after the IPO. And if that is done well, the company has nothing to deliver but good results. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And so seeing that you sit in a research position, you know, you're an investment research analyst, exactly. Right? What are the trends that we have been seeing in the past few years, and how does the future look like from a research perspective?
Now, we have seen a drastic change in terms of the economy. If you look at like from the year from 2022 to now, inflation was at a peak, I think in 2022. Currently, inflations are operating at below mid-range, that is at around 4.5, 4.4 as of January, 4.4%. That is applies for the economy and for even the market. So we have seen generally prices move upwards, but maybe I'll start from a point where the prices were very down, right from post-COVID period. Mm-hmm. And then interest rates went up to highs of around 13 from the CBK perspective, where actually the market lending rates were probably above 20 from some banks. Yeah. And then now the economy wasn't performing well, especially the private sector, going all the way from 2023, 2024 there. And then, of course, it's a combination of several things, right from the global side, then to the local economy. I might not say the global side, but let's look at maybe the local performance. The shilling went to the roof, except now it has come down. That is the exchange rate to the current levels. And then now CBK came in. Of course, there are different measures how to regulate the economy. There is physical versus monetary measures. Now, the monetary measures came in right from August 2024, where the rate cuts came in, interest rate declines came in, where right now we have seen that come to a low of 8.75 as of yesterday, which was the MPC report, MPC committee meeting. That is Tuesday, sorry. So since the interest rates started coming down, immediately before, investments were concentrated in probably government securities. More concentration shifted to that side, right from 2023, part of 2024. The rates went to the roof. Some papers were giving us high returns as 18.46%. Now, as interest rates started edging down, there is a shift in terms of investment from especially bonds, bank deposits to equities. So most of the stocks have recorded some massive growths. Some counters have recorded actually close to 100% gain in terms of their prices. So on average, in 2025, we had a market growth of around 51%, about 50% growth in terms of the prices. So anyone who had invested from 2023, 2024 has good returns as of now. That continues even now, favored by interest rates, low inflation, and of course, expectations of an economy to perform. Economy is expected to perform quite well. From 4.7, which was in 2024, is expected to be around 5% in 2025, and then 5.5 in 2026 and 5.6 in 2027. So that expectations and also the general macroeconomic outlook and performance has increased in terms of one thing that has increased in is disposable income because of in low inflations. Number two, there is more in terms of how the money to invest. Businesses are performing well. The cost of financing businesses has come down, and this is expected actually to even come down further. Currently, the commercial lending rate is around 15.4%. It's expected to come down. Actually, in my own view, I can say it should come to around 14, between 14.5 there. So with the rate cuts being there, we have seen some slow transmission of the same to the market. As the transmission of the rate cuts from the monetary side to the market, as that is going on, the markets, of course, equities market will continue to rally upwards. And that has been the case. Actually, from January 1st to date, there has been substantial growth even currently, above almost between 7% to 10% growth in terms of average prices for the market. So there is a shift of investment. There is more education, more education. More investments are coming from retail side. Actually, something that has affected the market is another thing. Foreign changes in the international market has also resulted to some outflows in our market, especially foreign investments. But local investors are positioning themselves very well. Actually, currently they are pushing the prices upwards. If it were the case, even where a situation where foreigners were coming in, then we should have expected the prices to have even performed even better than where they are currently. So we expect them to perform. Like equities are expected to even perform better, although they might not reach the 2025 levels of about 50% on average, but there will be some substantial growths. And part of that is the cost of financing for businesses have improved. As the cost of finances improve, then definitely businesses get cash to do more business. There is more return, especially if you look at the banking sector, profits have been growing consistently. And as a consequence, the return on investment from dividends have been rising consistently. that has seen the prices go up. Yeah.
Now, two questions for you on the political side of things. We know that the political window has already started, and it's a electioneering year next year. Kenya's cycle normally goes every 5 years. There's a dip, and then we go up. There's a dip, and then we go up. So what do you foresee within the next 2 years, so to say, into the electioneering year and then beyond that, based on what has been happening?
Now, in terms of how from 2012, 2017, 2022, there was that cycle, but very minimal.
Okay.
We expect minimal impact in terms of politics to the equities market, even the bonds market. And the reason why I'm saying so, our economy, all our politics is a bit mature if you compare to the peers in the East Africa. So we don't expect much shifts. As much as there might be some marginal declines, we don't expect them to impact the market as much as, to a great extent, to what happened in 2008. So definitely, most of these companies, listed companies, and where the market focus is, most of them have been performing fundamentally. Fundamentally in that the company has been growing internally. And also the earnings have been growing progressively. As the earnings grow progressively, definitely, even though the political side might affect, it will be very minimal, considering that the companies are very solid, most of them. Part of our recommendations as Pagamon, they are very solid recommendations where the company has performed consistently. We tend to look, of course, I understand that history does not guarantee the future.
Yeah.
But then history can inform what is likely to happen in the future. And that is what we look at, and then, of course, do some projections and give our recommendations. So as of 2027 national elections, we don't expect much changes on the economy because we are at the early stages of recovery, which should spill over to 2026, 27 next year, and even beyond. Because we have been in a long period of some kind of a dry season, especially from COVID side, where the markets were not performing well. We had global issues which impacted generally supply chain. The supply chain was constrained. And then currently things have stabilized, except that even if we saw some changes, especially from the US side, for the trade policy changes, even what was projected has been narrowed down to minimal levels because the impact was expected to be massive, but now that impact it's like markets have adjusted to the impact. And now the returns are even GDP projections that were reviewed downwards. Currently, as of January, some of the projections were returned to where they were that is to last year as at June, before the announcement of the tariffs. So that one has already cooled down. Now, as businesses grow, I don't really expect much impact from the national elections, except that the prices are likely, of course, there is that cyclical, what we call as technical price movements, which you cannot really avoid. So as prices readjust themselves, we don't really expect much downward shift, except that they will be shielded upwards, cushioned upwards because of the performances that are currently in the market and also the earnings that are being reported. Yeah.
Right. So the outlook does not look as grim. It actually looks positive, yeah?
Very bright.
Nice. So as we come to a close of the conversation, Bwana Manyinsa, just give us your closing remarks and yes, take it from there. What do you expect?
Now, expectations on the market, we expect some rally to continue, especially with the earnings coming up in March, especially for the banking sector. That is where the focus has been, and part of that focus is because of better returns in the sector. We expect Safaricom to continue performing even better. Actually, we issued a buy recommendation on it. Part of that, what is informing our recommendation is Safaricom Ethiopia is coming out of losses, is progressing to profitability come March next year, 2027. That is where we expect that. And then currently how the company is performing, or generally the other markets are performing. As interest rates come down, we expect some further cuts For example, we do expect probably the benchmark rates to come down to levels of around 8%. And that, of course, will push economic growth. The reason why we expect that rate cuts to continue, we have seen the private sector credit growth remaining roughly at around 6.5, 6.4, 6.3, 5.9. So the favorable rate, or rather growth rate, should be around 12% according to the CBK. And as we approach that, we are still far from that. We are still at single digit compared to where the projections are supposed to be. So as we continue in the course of the year, we expect some, maybe probably 2 additional rate cuts, which now will return to help in terms of the private sector credit growth. That credit growth will push now, of course, the general economy. So our outlook for 2025-2026 is bright in terms of we expect prices to continue going up of equities. However, in terms of the government bonds, we expect that the prices, or rather the returns, to narrow down, because there is a correlation in terms of the CBR, the central bank rate, and the actual rates that are being issued for the bonds. Like yesterday, we saw the rates were cut by 25 basis points. That had an impact on the auction that happened yesterday. The rate was cut on Tuesday, and then yesterday on Wednesday, there was, of course, implementation of what the government had done. So there is a deliberate move to see that the private sector is moving, is growing, which is a plus to us. We can say it's a plus to the capital markets authority, the capital markets in general, which will push for more growth, more returns to the investors. So I can welcome whoever that wants to invest. I'll leave them with a link. We have Pagamon Investment. We have we have a mantra where we say leveraging Africa, investing globally. We are looking forward to even regional growths, where we expect even to grow toward to Ethiopia, and to have some, of course, a replica of the same what's happening in Kenya going there. So we are looking forward to, of course, acquire more clients in terms of, we have gone actually fully digital. As an investment bank, we are fully digital. And I think we are among the first ones in terms of going digital. You can open an account, go to our website. We are Pagamon Investment Bank. There is a link there. You can apply for whatever you need. In case of advisory, we have we have a competent team in terms of advisory.
Okay.
We have corporate management, corporate finance, which helps in terms of capital raising, and also in terms of advisory in case of probably debt restructures. And then we have research, where I sit. We offer very quality reports in terms of our outlook, how we look at the market. Our recommendations are top. Okay. We have seen consistently, on terms of what we have offered and in terms of growth, there has been a replication. So, and then we have other services. We have gone free digital, where the discussion is surrounded. Okay. So we are fully ready to onboard all the clients, or rather the retail.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shadrach. That is Shadrach Manyinsa, who is a research analyst at Pagamon Investment Bank, just helping us make sense of investing in the stock market from the newly opened KBC IPO to what the capital markets is doing to ensure that more Kenyans and more retail investors can access those investment options at the Nairobi Stock Exchange and other capital market investment options. That is the first conversation here on BizCheck. We want to take you to Mandera County, where President William Ruto is launching the distribution of the Nyota Capital for Startups, and that is happening in Mandera. Let's just listen into that.
Na kila mtu atapata haki yake. Hello my dear. Habari yako?
Nzuri sana.
Unaitwa nani?
Halima.
Halima.
Yeah.
Habari Halima?
Nzuri sana.
Mimi naitwa William.
Yeah, nakujua.
Unanijua?
Yeah.
Okay. So umepata pesa?
Yeah, nimepata.
Hebu nione. Tayari?
Yeah.
Okay. So hii pesa unataka kutumia kwa njia gani Halima? Unataka hii pesa kutumia kwa njia gani?
Njia ya business. Niko na business ya nguo. Mimi nauzanga nguo. Sasa nataka nibaishe hiyo nguo iko.
Uongeze?
Yeah, niongoze hiyo business yangu.
Tayari saa hizi wewe ni mfanyabiashara wa kuuza nguo?
Yeah.
Saa hii?
Yeah.
Hiyo stock yako, hiyo biashara yako yote ni kama ya pesa ngapi saa hizi?
Saa hizi mbeleni ilikuwa mingi sana, lakini saa hizi ya drought
imeenda chini. So ni kama pesa ngapi sasa? Ni kama ya pesa ngapi?
Ya 25 hivyo.
25,000.
Yeah.
Sasa utaongezea hii 22,000.
Yeah,
utaongeza?
Muziki juu.
Yeah. Utaongeza?
Yeah.
Ndio ikuwe juu.
Yeah.
Unanunua hiyo biashara yako unanunua kutoka wapi?
Kutoka hapa tu Mandera.
Uko na
Abang sina.
Una?
Lakini sina lakini dash. Lakini si sana. Ndio dash mkubwa sana.
Okay. Asante sana Halima. So nakutakia heri. Na ungangane kabisa. Sawa. Si utasalimia familia yako?
Yeah. Sawa kwa tutam kwa ule sababu.
Haya, asante sana. Okay Halima. Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante. Haya, niko na muungwana hapa. Muungwana wa mwisho. Unaitwa nani boss?
Naitwa Mohamed Birik.
Mohamed.
Yeah.
How are you Mohamed?
Mzuri sana.
Uko salama?
Uko salama.
Umepata senti kwanza nijue?
Nimeona. Nimepata.
Iko tayari?
Iko tayari.
Mohamed Birik. No, tayari hapo.
Yeah.
Haya. So, Bwana Mohamed, ulijiunga namna gani? How did you apply?
Nimeapply, nilikuwa nimeona iko rafiki yangu aliniambia iko program ya Nyota.
Yes, wake up.
Iko program ya Nyota, aliniambia tumeapply pamoja na yeye. Lakini bahati mbaya yeye hakupata. Sasa mimi nimepata hivyo.
Nimeenda training.
Nimeenda validation. After then nimeenda training 4 days. Tulienjoy vizuri training. Tumechukua huko knowledge vizuri. Sasa tukifika mpaka hapa sasa hivi.
Very good. So sasa umepata pesa. What is the plan?
Yeah, the plan. Ni plan nataka najua ile biashara ya mbuzi ndio mimi najua. Sasa hii wakati wa kame biashara ya mbuzi nataka hiyo pesa nataka niweke mbuzi. Sasa hii soko mbuzi moja ni kama 2,000 rahisi. Nataka niwe kama 10 nipeleke nyumbani niko na nyingine kama 5 niongeze mama iko na yake bange moja inaweza kuwa
moja. So saizi kwa kiangazi hii unanunua 2,000.
Moja sasa
2,000. So
tatu juzi.
Umenunua juzi 3.
Tatu.
So unataka kwenda kuongezea hii?
Nataka kuongezea nyingine.
Sasa kama unanunua na iko kiangazi, utalisha namna gani hii mbuzi yako?
Nitalisha iko kazi nyingine nafanya taxi driver. Iko taxi ninalipa rent ile siku 400 300 na nunulia ya kupatia chakula mbuzi.
Okay, very good. So wewe uko na biashara ya kando hapo ya taxi. Ndio unasukuma naye. So utachukua ile unapata 200, 300, 400 unanunua chakula ukingojea kuuza 15,000. Hiyo plan iko mbele sana boss. Hapo hata mimi naona hapo. Mimi pia ni mfanya biashara wa kuku lakini mimi naona hii yako ya mbuzi iko mbele.
Asante.
Sasa Bwana Mohamed Birik, kuna watu wanasema hii pesa ni kidogo.
Si kidogo. Ukitumia vizuri pesa sio kidogo. Nataka tu akili.
Inataka akili. So wale wanalalamika ni pesa kidogo, pengine akili yao ndio kidogo.
Ni kidogo sana, hana mapango.
Hana mpango.
Hana mapango.
Okay. Wapi makofi ya Mohamed Birik?
Asante.
Tutasalimiana boss. Asante sana. Thank you very much. Sasa kwa sababu ya masaa, hebu nione wale watu wamepata pesa kwa simu. Weka simu. Bas. Kama pesa haijaingia usikwe na wasiwasi. Usikwe na wasiwasi. Mpaka pesa itaingia kwa simu yenu, kwa sababu tulishawapangia, tulishawatrain, tumekuja na hiyo pesa, tutaingiza kwa mtandao, kila mmoja wenu atapata pesa zake, kwa sababu ni haki yenu, ni ahadi yetu na tutasonga pamoja. Kwa hivyo Mandera, mimi nataka niseme asante sana. Tumekubaliana mimi narudi hapa mwezi wa 4, tukuje tupangane na mambo ya maendeleo. Nawatakia baraka za Mungu. Thank you very much. God bless you. I love you, the people of Mandera. Thank you very much.
Asante sana yo.
Those are proceedings from Mandera County, where the president was launching the distribution of the Nyota capital, startup capital there. Of course, he has been doing that across the country, and today it's the turn of the northeastern community. So that is the Nyota story from Mandera. We shall be getting back, and in the next conversation, when we come back from this particular break that we're about to take, we shall be talking about matters tourism. I'll be hosting the Principal Secretary in charge of tourism, that is John Ololtua, to discuss how Kenya is tapping sports tourism and enhancing resilience in the tourism sector. Do stay with us.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya, this is KBC English Service.
Listen to the radio. Oh, listen.
The UN Secretary General Othman has arrived in Monrovia.
Started in 1928, the KBC English service is proudly the station of the nation and the mother of radio in Kenya. The heritage brand Sundowner remains the undisputed #1 early evening show. As we celebrate the unique value of radio on World Radio Day 2026, the Sundowner Sunset Date is coming home.
Rock me, rock me, rock me, baby.
We invite you to come and enjoy the show right from Broadcasting House, live, and interact with your favorite presenters of the station on Friday, the 13th of February 2026, starting from 4 p.m. till late. Entry is free. It's a date this Friday at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation on Harithuku Road, Nairobi.
Rock me till I want no more. There's a feeling of love deep inside me. Hello, hello, nimekuja na tangazo.
Hapo staki kusikia.
Hii nyingine moto.
This is how we do, yeah. Chill, lay back, straight, starting, yeah, we do it like that.
Zaki moto.
Do.
This party, Zaki moto. Hello, Friday. I've been waiting for you for a long time. You just made me. Live for life. Okay.
Mambo ya kuungua na moshi ambapo mke tuko naye huyu. Nishakwambia wakati wowote, saa yoyote njoo, na kama una njaa mwambie Amina chochote unachotaka kupikia. Huyu ni kama bibi yako pia.
Unaweza kuwa wewe ni mzuri, uolewe na mwingine bongolala. Siwezi kutoka siku moja nikupeleke picnic. Uende ujionee hata tupitie mahali kama hizo zinauzwa.
Sasa leo wewe wananiambia twende mimi na wewe picnic. Wataka kunivunjia nyumba yangu masanduku. Taona naye ulimletea bibi hapa karibu.
Bibi nani?
Mimi je?
Yaani mimi sijui kumbe masanduku ashakuoa. Baba hawezi kutoka paka leo ni mchafue.
Hapana. Hapana.
She's called Pastor Lillian Nyongesa Nabuleje.
Dream of every woman. Yes. Pastor Richard Nyongesa. First, we've met as ministers. We were serving together. Then he was a married man. I was in another relationship. The wife then passed on.
I didn't have sleep. I had a voice. You marry this lady or you die.
Oh, God. I opened up about my past just to scare him. I'm like, I'm barren, you know. But God, of a second chance, gave us the twins.
I don't regret getting Lillian. She has made me a man.
Ipa imani kila siku kuchapo.
The journey to Lake Turkana begins in Nairobi. Leaving behind traffic, tall buildings and familiar highways, the road stretches north through central Kenya, past rolling hills and dry plains, before slowly turning rugged. Tarmac gives way to dust. Smooth roads become off-road tracks. The farther you go, the quieter it gets. In northern Kenya, distance is not an obstacle, it's a part of the experience. Hours later, the desert opens up, and then, unexpectedly, color appears. Lake Turkana. The world's largest desert lake, a vast body of jade-colored water surrounded by volcanic rock, black lava fields and endless skies. Locals call it the Jade Sea, and standing here you'll understand why. For the communities living along these shores, Lake Turkana is life in itself. Fishermen head out early in wooden boats, casting nets just as their fathers and grandfathers did. Fishing here is not just an occupation, it's a tradition, survival, and identity. Despite the harsh climate, the lake offers moments of pure joy.
So when you come to Lake Turkana, don't leave this place without taking a dip.
And yes, you can swim in Lake Turkana. Warm waters in the middle of the desert create a surreal experience. Floating under wide blue skies with volcanic hills in the distance, it feels like nature has paused just for you. As evening approaches, Lake Turkana reveals one of its greatest gifts: the sunsets. The sun slowly dips behind volcanic ridges, painting the sky in shades of gold, orange and deep crimson. Reflections dance across the jade waters as silhouettes of boats glide quietly home. In that moment, the desert softens and time seems to stand still. Just a short walk away in Loyangalani town, visitors can step into the Desert Museum, a cultural and historic window into the region. The museum showcases ancient fossils, traditional tools, fishing practices, and the rich cultures that have thrived around Lake Turkana for centuries.
Desert Museum was built here in Loyangalani. One, because of the lake, it's just at the shores of the lake, and the lake is one of the attractions to the tourists, and also to bring the warring communities together to peacefully coexist.
What makes Lake Turkana magical is its contrast: harsh yet beautiful, remote yet welcoming, ancient yet alive. It is a place where silence speaks, where the journey becomes part of the story, and where nature puts on a show every single evening. Lake Turkana is not the Kenya most travelers know it. It is raw, it is off-road, it is unforgettable. And as the sun finally disappears behind the Jet Sea, one thing becomes clear: this is not just a destination, it is magical. And once you've witnessed it, Lake Turkana becomes a magical scene that stays with you forever. For KBC, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
Well, that is a story by my colleague there, bringing us the sights and scenes from Lake Turkana. And of course, you can catch magical scenes every Thursday at 9 p.m. here on KBC Channel 1. And speaking of tourism, today we are talking about matters tourism, specifically sports tourism, as well as ensuring sustainability and resilience in the tourism industry. And to have this conversation with me in studio is the Principal Secretary in charge of tourism. He is John Ololtua. There he is on your screen. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity first and foremost to
appreciate KBC and the entire team for affording me this opportunity to come and talk about sports tourism and also about the Global Tourism Resilience Conference that is scheduled to begin on Monday here in Nairobi, Kenya. So I'm indeed very happy. Secondly, I would like, even before you ask me any question, to appreciate the role that the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation has been playing in educating Kenyans on a number of issues ranging from the developments that the government is doing, and particularly the critical role that they have continued to play in marketing Kenya as a premier tourism destination. I think we have been partnering together, and we are indeed very, very, very appreciative about that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure we are very proud to be your partners as well.
Thank you very much.
Now let us get into the tourism, the tourism angle of this. Kenya has very ambitious targets in terms of the tourism numbers that we want to get.
Yes.
Tell us, as the PS of tourism, how we are supposed to get those numbers and the initiatives that are taking place.
Thank you very much. As you have rightly put it, tourism is one of the cornerstones of Kenya's economy. In terms of its contribution to the GDP, its contribution to employment creation, and also its contribution generally to the preservation of our heritage, culture, and our landscape. And therefore, it's a critical component of our development. As you have indicated, we have targets to increase the numbers from where it is currently. By end of last year, we had 2.4 million international tourists and over almost between 5 to 6 million domestic bed nights. And the targets are this year, 2025, as we end, we are just finalizing the data that should reach about 2.5 million, but we consistently want to reach at least 5 million and above in 2027 and grow thereafter even to higher numbers. You have asked what strategies we are putting in place to be able to realize these numbers. I know the time may not allow me to say all of them, but let me highlight a few. One of the strategies that we are employing is, of course, marketing, robust marketing, both digital, both conferences, both exhibitions, and other forms of campaign that we carry across the nations, and this is normally done by the Kenya Tourism Board. But this time around, we have also brought on board all the other ministries and the departments so that they can also assist us do the campaign so that we are not doing alone. For example, the State Department for Diaspora, when they are meeting our diaspora people, they do distribute our materials, our literature, our videos. The same applies with our foreign missions abroad, our missions abroad. The same applies to all other departments like investment, trade, sports, and all of them who are doing that collective marketing. Secondly, we are also doing mapping of tourism niche products so that we develop them further, so that we expand the attraction base, to move, not necessarily from, to expand, so that as we market our wildlife, our beaches, we do much more improvement to market our culture, our agriculture, our sports, our adventure in terms of mountain trails and so on, our heritage, our astro-tourism, our medical tourism. So we are working in partnership with the county governments to be able to expand the attractions that the visitors are supposed to come and see. Thirdly, we're also focusing on hosting of international conferences, and this one we are doing in partnership with the rest of government. You have realized of late that Nairobi has hosted so many international conferences. So the State Department for Investment, Trade, Sports, and other departments are bidding. They have actually, what can I put it? They have put on a proactive approach to bid for these conferences to be held in Kenya, including sporting events. Like currently we are hosting the rugby sevens. So we have 11 nations already who have come to join to do the rugby, sports as from Saturday. So this hosting of conferences under the MICE sector has also assisted. So it's a strategy to also be able to increase the numbers. Number 4, we are also looking at the airspace, opening up of the airspace. In terms of immigration laws, you are aware of the electronic travel authorization. You are also aware of a number of airlines that have been given to operate direct to Mombasa, and others, new airlines being allowed to operate coming to Nairobi. And the minister, the cabinet secretary for transport, in collaboration with the other ministers of interior, tourism, and so on, under the guidance of His Excellency the President, who has made it very clear that we must be able to transform even how the visitors are received and the opportunities are given for them to be able to come. That's also another area that is being focused on to ensure that it makes it easy for visitors to travel and access and come to Kenya. We are also looking at the experience, the tourist experience, because if they come and they don't enjoy, then they don't come back. So through the Tourism Regulatory Authority, we are doing accreditation of hotels, we are doing training of hospitality staff. We are focusing on ensuring that the visitor, enjoys as they come. Lastly, because I know if you give me that topic, then you need to give me that.
You can talk for a whole hour.
Yeah, because thirdly and most important, we are also looking at infrastructure. That it's supposed to support the experience for tourism. You are aware that there are so many stadiums that our government is coming up, for example, the Talanda Stadium and many other stadiums. This is to make it easy for sports and other events to be held in Kenya, and that is tourism. When they come, those are the numbers that we are talking about. Conference facilities, KICC, for example, we expanded. There are many other conference facilities that are being done, and we have also encouraged the private sector to be able to expand their hotels and ensure that we have conference facilities. And we're even encouraging new investors who may wish to open up hotels in the country and so on. So anything that you see being done, whether it is rail network, road network, air connectivity, and of course including also the digital space to ensure that there is communication that takes place. So there are many areas that we are looking on to ensure that we improve and increase the target. But we have a robust campaign under what we call domestic tourism. We realized during the time of COVID, what saved the country was domestic tourism. So the Kenya Tourism Board has launched a robust campaign of showcasing the touristic attractions where our Kenyans can visit, and we are very, very glad that many of them are visiting these places. And we are also very happy that now the youths, and I really want to commend the Kenyan youth, they are coming out through TikTok, Twitter, X space, and all those other spaces. They are now documenting even what is there in their villages, and they are marketing the country in a very positive image. I really want to thank them, and I really want them to continue.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's delve a little bit deeper into sports tourism.
Yes.
We have the HSBC Sevens coming up, the rugby sevens, and I'm informed that tickets were sold out within a day when they were opened.
Yes.
That shows Kenyans are very enthusiastic. There's the Magical Kenya Open. There's the WRC also coming up later in the year. So what makes Kenya an attractive destination for such global international level events?
First of all, I'm indeed so happy, as you have said, because Kenya has attracted hosting of these very many global events. If you have mentioned, of course, we have our golf, the Magical Kenya Open, which has always been taking place. We have the World Safari Rally, which is always also taking place here in Kenya. We have, of course, the Rugby Sevens, who are also here in Kenya. We have the Kiptum Classic and many, many others that are currently being held in Kenya, including the big one that we did the other time, that was the Chan.
Yeah, and AFCON is coming up next year.
And AFCON is coming up next year.
Yeah.
There are many things that are attracting the hosting of these international events. First and foremost is the peace and tranquility that is actually in Kenya. By the way, Kenya is one of the most peaceful nations in the world. Even during political times and so on, you can always see a few things here and there, but overall, if you rate it overall, the sustainability since independence has been a nation of peace and tranquility. So that alone is a component that attracts it. Number two is the infrastructure, because you cannot hold these events if you don't have the requisite infrastructure. Our stadiums, that were there before, and the ones that we are adding, is also an element that attracts the hosting of these events. Number three is purposeful bidding. I mean, going out there, all right? And this has been very, very clear, because His Excellency the President himself has been on the forefront in giving guidance to the cabinet secretaries, the ministries, the departments on hosting of these events. Because when you have that will, what do you call it? The political will, the will from the top, it becomes easy for you even to bid these international events, because you have that backup. So His Excellency has been very keen and very, very, purposeful in ensuring that whatever environment that is required, whatever support, whatever guidance that is required for these events to be bidded and to be hosted is done. And that also is a contributor to Kenya hosting many of these events. Number three, Kenya itself is a giant in terms of sports. I mean, especially, this is the home of champions. It's a home of athletes, marathoners, and generally, when you are also doing very well, and in whatever field that you are, you make it easy for people to want to come to this particular country. But above all is the hospitality of the Kenyan people. Every visitor who comes, the people who come to to play football, they come, safari rally and so on. The hospitality of the Kenyan people, the way the guests are received, they are treated, and of course, it makes it easy. But also the available space to accommodate them, like the hotels, the lodges, and all other associated aspects, including even also the air transport, where if you want to travel from one place to another, at least we have some airstrips and so on that makes it easy for us to be able to attract, and also our tourism, the beautiful landscape, our beautiful culture, our beautiful wildlife, our adventure spirit, and so on. So it makes it easy also for the nations, whenever we are hosting these events, for them to really make them attractive to be able to come to this particular place. So sports is the fastest growing segment globally, and I think when we have also shown our enthusiasm and our interest in sports, it makes it easy for like-minded nations to also accept. And I think last but not least, Nairobi is actually the headquarters of the UN. And so if you look at the international organizations that are operating in the country and the work they are doing, it also opens it up to the world that this is an important country. This is a country that really is able, because if we are able to host all these international organizations, then how can it become difficult for us to host, for example, rugby sevens, to host World Rally Championships, or to host any other sporting activity? So really, I think those are just some of the things that attract the nations to be able to host. But overall, the Ministry of Sports and the government in general is going out there to tell the Kenyan story and to say that we are able, we are warm, we are welcoming, and we want people to come, and they will come. Yes.
Before we get into the Resilience Summit that is coming up, I have one more question on the sports tourism. You said that tourism is an experience from the moment you land and how you're treated, where you sleep, everything.
Yes.
So talk to us about collaboration between, of course, government organizations and also the private sector in delivering that experience. Yes, I am coming to play or with my team for the rugby sevens.
Yes.
But what more am I getting in terms of the touristic experience?
Thank you very much. That's really a very good question. First of all, the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife are working together in a collaborative manner in the planning and execution of all these sporting activities. And we work together in many ways. First of all, for tourism, we benefit from sports in very many ways. For example, we use the sports forum to be able to do destination storytelling into the global broadcast, because as people watch the football, the fans and so on, they're also watching our storytelling about what Kenya offers. And therefore, it gives us that opportunity to be able to display what we have, either through videos, through storytelling, and through also familiarization experiences. We normally organize so that when they have free time, they can have familiarization experiences, or we call them farm trips, where they can be able to visit a few areas. Sometimes when they come, we have a proper systematic visit to Nairobi National Park and the National Museums of Kenya and other places even outside Nairobi. So we give them we do the calendar so that they're able to see what we can be able to offer, including packaging. We also are able to come up with packages for sports, safari and coast experiences for visitors. And of course, we also coordinate even in the identification of the hotels, all the visitors who come. We work very closely with sports and any other ministry that is hosting to identify for them all the hotels that they are supposed to be able to be accommodated, and ensure that they are properly catered for and that there is really no problem. So that collaborative working together makes it easy. We do open, like yesterday, we had the welcoming dinner for the rugby sevens, sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife through the Kenya Tourism Board. So we did sponsor that as a way of welcoming them and talking to them and making them even feel our nyama choma and our Kenyan food and our Kenyan dances. We had the Bombers of Kenya dancers welcoming the players, dancing for them. So we actually work together. Even as we receive, we also have, like the Kenya Tourism Board, we receive them at the airport, so together with the Minister of Sports. So in terms of working, every step that the Sports Ministry is doing, we also do branding. So we also do, as they brand, we also brand with the Magical Kenya and participate almost in every activity that they are doing. But for us, as I said, we leverage on the social media content from the athletes and the fans, as they talk about Kenya, as they talk about the experiences. For example, some of them may go to Masai Mara, they may go to the coast and wherever they can go. They may adventure. Some of them may come to Magical Kenya mountain and trail running series and so on. So when they go and experience, they will go and report back in their countries. And out of that, we might have a significant number, either of them or people from their countries coming to Kenya for that particular purpose. Yeah. So really, Kenya is Africa's premier sports tourism destination. And sports is becoming very central to Kenya's brand as wildlife tourism and all other forms of tourism. Yes.
Right. So as we take advantage of all the resources that we have to give tourism offerings to our tourists, there's the issue of conservation as well.
Yes.
And ensuring that there's sustainability. We are achieving sustainability even as we use these resources. Let's talk about the Global Tourism Resilience Summit now. We know that there have been some issues that have come up in terms of facilities being put up in wildlife corridors. I'm sure you're aware of the case that is in court currently. And so where are we as Kenya in terms of taking care of these resources so that they can continue taking care of us and the generations to come? Yeah.
So first of all, before I come to that, let me take this opportunity to say that it's my great pleasure. Yesterday, my cabinet secretary had a session with the Honorable Minister of Tourism of Jamaica, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, where we had a session to be able to welcome the guests to Kenya. But let me also take this opportunity now that I have that opportunity to follow up on what my cabinet secretary has said, to say that it's my great pleasure to warmly welcome all the delegates and visitors to Nairobi for the 4th Global Tourism Resilience Day Conference and Expo, taking place from 16th to 18th February 2026. And it will be at KICC, that is Monday 16th, and of course Tuesday 17th, which is actually the Global Day for Celebration Tourism Resilience. And so this is a very important conference that we are expecting to host in Nairobi. And mainly because I'll come to your question, this conference has been held in Jamaica. We have a global tourism resilience center at Kenyatta University that assists us in issues of tourism resilience and so on. But the Global Tourism Resilience Conference is usually held on 17th of February every year, which is a United Nations Tourism Dedicated Day to celebrate tourism resilience. Jamaica has hosted it 3 times. So this is the first time it's being hosted in Africa, and particularly East Africa, which is in Kenya. And I want to say Kenya is proud to host this Global Tourism Resilience Conference. We are very, very proud. And it's because it is going to give us an opportunity to discuss practical, inclusive, and measurable measures of resilience. It will give us also an opportunity of fostering actionable commitments and scalable solutions that will define the next chapter of global tourism across the world. So it's really an important session. We already have so many confirmations. I just want to mention that, and I come to your question. We expect over 500 participants globally, but we already have confirmations at least of 5 ministers from Jamaica, Angola, South Sudan, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, just to mention a few who have already confirmed coming, and there will be. So let me come back to your question on what we are doing on issues of resilience. First and foremost, there has been, every county has got a management plan. So if you look at the national parks and national reserves, every national park and national reserve have a management plan. And this management plan is supposed to ensure that the ecosystems are protected, that you don't put up lodges and hotels where they're not supposed to be put, that you don't overcrowd the parks and so on. So first of all, the management plans are helping us to ensure that we do not destroy the heritages that we have. Secondly, through the State Department for Wildlife and of course the Kenya Wildlife Service, of course there are a number of policies and guidelines that also guide on this to ensure that the correct things are done. Thirdly, we also have the national program, which is spearheaded by His Excellency the President, the 15 billion tree growing drive, which is basically supposed to help us in ensuring that we reduce deforestation, we address climate change related issues, and that we conserve our environments and make it friendly to ensure that they are not being destroyed. But also under the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, we have given a lot of guidelines through Tourism Regulatory Authority. Even whenever you are starting facilities, we look at whether you are compliant to ecotourism friendly measures. Even lodges that are coming up, they also look at eco-friendly measures. We even have an organization called Ecotourism Kenya, and which is working very closely with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife to ensure that eco-friendly issues and so on are addressed. So what I can say in a nutshell is that there is a collaborative effort including even the State Department for Culture, the Arts and Heritage. They're also looking at resilience in terms of our cultural heritage, in terms of our cultural artifacts and other things that need to be protected so that they are not destroyed. So I can say that there is a collaborative effort across government to ensure that even the wildlife corridors are protected, the human-wildlife conflict is reduced, but also the communities are empowered to benefit from wildlife and from the tourism attractions that are in the account. So let me say in a nutshell that for resilience, we are very, very keen on that, and that's why we were very keen even to host this resilience conference. The center at KU does research in crisis management. They also does research in resilience. They do research on anything that they think can really help the country ensure that we respond to any emergencies that come. So really, I think we are on course, but the reason why we have these conferences is to give an opportunity for more debate, because we shall have so many speakers from different countries. We are going to learn from the lessons of Jamaica, also what they are doing, and other countries that on the discussions that we are going to do on tourism resilience. I'm also very happy that the State Department for Environment and Climate Change, the one for forestry, even the one of special programs looking at the long term on how to address some of these climate-related issues. So we are working together as a government to really ensure that we preserve our heritage.
Yeah, which is
Yes.
very important, and
Yes.
I think it's a collaborative effort at the end of the day. Not
Correct.
only one entity can handle that.
Correct.
And so, from where you sit in the Ministry of Tourism,
Yes.
can you confirm to Kenyans that the wildlife corridors are safe?
First of all, they are safe, but you need to call Sylvia Museya, who is the PS for Wildlife, to give you, and Dr. Professor Kanga, who is what can I get, the custodian of all those corridors. And he will give you now, those two will give you the nitty-gritties. But being in the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, I can confirm to you that they are safe. But if you want more details on the specifics, then you can invite my colleague for Wildlife and the Director General to give the details. But we are working together, because for me, it's the PS Tourism. I actually market the product, so I'm very keen and I'm interested to monitor what happens with them, because that's what when I tell my visitors to come I'm telling them to come to go and see the Big Five, but the Big Five are where? They are actually in the national parks and the game reserve. So I'm also very keen and I monitor, and that's why if I answer and say they are safe, I think I am very authentic on that.
Okay.
But if you want to give now the details, you can call them, but I can assure you they are safe.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you for that assurance. I'm informed we need to go to Parliament, where the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kiptum Murkomen is speaking. Let's just listen into that.
Thank you.
Kenya Prison Service and the National Youth Service, and improving security services in the country. That is a task force that was established by His Excellency the President as soon as this government was established. In line with the recommendations, we have embarked on several activities. First is reviewing and developing the following acts and bills. The National Police Service Amendment Bill 2025. This bill aims to amend the National Police Service Act so as to provide for structural, functional, and operational reforms to enhance the efficiency, accountability, and professionalism of the service. The draft bill proposes to introduce comprehensive changes, including the formal establishment of the Criminal Investigation Service, pursuant to Article 247 of the Constitution, regulation of forensic service, enhancement of internal oversight, alignment of disciplinary and administrative procedures, and protection of members in service-related circumstances. The bill has been submitted to National Police Service Commission, IPOA, and ODPP for comments before formal draft by the Attorney General. Revisions of draft bill to incorporate stakeholders' inputs was done in November 2025. Further internal stakeholders' engagement and revised draft and consensus building is expected before the end of March this year, after which public participation will follow. Number two, the Independent Police Oversight Authority Bill 2025 proposes to amend the Independent Police Oversight Authority Act to strengthen authorities' investigative and oversight mandate, enhance its operational efficiency, and align its provisions with evolving legal and institutional needs. The bill has been submitted to the agencies for comments. Proposal for demarcation of mandate and role between the Internal Affairs Unit of the National Police Service and IPOA are also being prepared for consultation to be shared with the relevant agencies, and thereafter the draft bill will be submitted to the Attorney General. Number three, the National Police Service Commission Act seeks to amend the National Police Service Commission Act to strengthen the Commission's mandate in human resource management, streamline governance structure, and enhance accountability to the National Police Service. The draft bill has been submitted to National Police Service and National Police Service Commission for comments before the formal drafting by the Attorney General. The National Police Service Veterans and Fallen Heroes Bill 2025 establishes a legal framework for the recognition, registration, and support of police veterans and fallen heroes. The bill provides for the welfare of former members of the National Police Service and the dependents of officers who die in line of duty. It further seeks to provide structural benefits, ceremonial honors, and national mechanisms for recognition, remembrance, and institutional support. The bill has been submitted to the relevant agencies also before drafting by the Attorney General. The National Forensic Science Draft Bill 2025 has been prepared to put in place legal framework to regulate provision of forensic sciences services in Kenya. The bill was submitted to the relevant agencies in preparation for formal drafting by the Attorney General. The Public Order Management Bill seeks to give effect to Article 24, 33, 36, and 37 of the Constitution by providing a comprehensive framework for regulation, facilitation, and management of public assemblies, processions, demonstrations, picketing, and public meetings, while ensuring that these freedoms are exercised in a manner that respects the rights and the freedoms of others, safeguard public safety and health, and maintain public order. The bill has been submitted again to the relevant agencies before formally being drafted by the Attorney General. The government also developed the National Policing Policy, Public Order Management and Policy, and Community Policing Policies, which are now at the formulation stage, with draft document having been presented to stakeholders for comments and feedback. Other activities that are on course with respect to police reforms include service delivery reforms, including National Police Service Charter Review, Service Standard Review, and Police Station Service Delivery Improvement Strategy. 2, implementation of performance management, including performance contracting. 3, staff establishment and career progression guidelines, including non-uniformed staff. 4, organizational structure of Kenya Police Service Administration, Police Service, and DCI, including policy directives on restructuring of formations, units, and components, review of the service standing orders, and development of standard operating procedures for all these operational units in the National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, it also includes establishing mechanisms and procedures for compliance with the 6th schedule of the National Police Service Act on mandatory notification of death and serious injuries that occur within police premises. Establishing mechanisms and procedures to ensure the honoring of summons of IPOA in execution of its mandate. Mechanisms and procedures to allow unconstrained access to police premises, including trained institutions by IPOA, capacity building and sensitization on external oversight functions, including the number of police officers trained and sensitized on IPOA functions and mandate. The government has further started developing the National Government Administration Police Unit Standards Operating Procedures, which have since been promulgated, Mr. Speaker, and this will provide step-by-step instructions to the NGAPU functions. The IG gazetted these procedures this week, or last week, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, question 7, explain the measures to put in place to address organized criminal gangs and strategies to prevent political, ethnic, and resource-based violence and urban crime. Honorable Speaker,
That is the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kiptum Murkomen there addressing Parliament, answering those questions on matters national security. And of course, our team that is in Parliament is keeping tabs with that and will be filing a detailed report in our bulletins later in the day at 1 p.m., 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. We come back to studio now and continue with our conversation with the Principal Secretary in charge of tourism, that is John Ololtua, discussing Kenya's tourism potential, where we are headed, specifically the Global Resilience Summit, Tourism Resilience Summit that is coming up next week. Bona PS, what are the expected outcomes of this Resilience Summit?
Thank you very much. One of the key expected outcomes of this summit is that it will be able to reinforce Kenya's role as a continental hub for tourism policy dialogue, and also will enable Kenya to shape global resilience agendas. It also will indicate very clearly that Kenya is committed to resilience in tourism, committed to environmental conservation, and committed to all aspects that touch on resilience. So even the fact that we just are hosting it clearly shows the commitment of Kenya. Secondly, it's also an opportunity to showcase Kenya's diverse tourism offerings. As the visitors come to join us in the Resilience Conference, they'll get an opportunity to visit a few of our touristic attractions, and they'll be able to see some of the diverse tourism offerings, and therefore, by extension, become an opportunity that will make them come as repeat visitors to Kenya. It will boost MICE tourism. I'm sure a number of hotels will get accommodation and so on, and the conference facilities that we are using. So it will boost MICE tourism. It will also promote tourism investments, knowledge and exchange, and sharing on best practices on tourism crisis preparedness. So really, the expected outcomes are wide, because there will be a lot of speakers that will speak on how do we respond to crisis, how do we how do we prepare for any other crises that may affect tourism. So I think it is a very, very important opportunity for us, and I want to conclude by still inviting all Kenyans who are able to attend to attend. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your thoughts on tourism, and of course continue doing the great job you're doing. I have to give your ministry your flowers. That's what the young people say.
Yes.
During the iShowSpeed visit, I think the ministry did a very great job with all the other stakeholders.
Correct. Thank you so much. We are happy. iShowSpeed was also effort to really see what we have, and I'm sure a number of his friends and admirers must have seen what we have, and we believe they'll come. We also want to thank you once again, and the entire media. You have really been proud of our country, and you have been communicating what our country offers, because tourism is about communicating what we have. So you make sure you have the nice experience, but you also talk to people to know that it is there, so that they can come. Even KBC, I was talking with the CEO. You can come up with KBC itself is a touristic attraction.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of KBC, it can be something that people can come and learn about. The rich heritage of KBC can in itself become heritage tourism. So I think there is a lot we can tap.
There is a lot we can tap. Thank you so much. That is the Principal Secretary in charge of tourism, Mr. John Ololtua, speaking to us about Kenya's tourism potential, tapping sports tourism, of course, a number of events that are coming up. This coming weekend, we have the HSBC Rugby Sevens, 11 countries already on the ground to play. And of course, if you managed to grab your ticket during that short period, we do hope that you enjoy those particular games this weekend and other sports events that are coming up. Thank you very much for watching. That is it here on BizCheck this morning. We appreciate your company. My name is Betty Kiptum, and from the team that made this possible, we thank you and we say enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
We are in Lagos, Nigeria. And would you believe me if I told you that this country has over 300 ethnic groups? That's crazy to think about. And with that comes over 500 languages, making this one of the most diverse countries in the world. But that diversity can sometimes get in its own way, resulting to tribalism. And our question today is, can this country overcome it? And what can the older folk learn from the younger people? Who better to ask than fellow Nigerians? Thank you all for joining us. But before we begin, I'd like to ask a general question. How many of you here have experienced tribalism directly or indirectly? Let me see, by show of hands. Okay, so quite a fair amount of you. Let's start with you, Emmy. What was that experience like, if you don't mind sharing?
I would say that it was very uncomfortable because essentially we are such a huge nation and we have so many languages. So hearing that you cannot have an opportunity to do something because you're from a minority tribe or from a tribe that is not central was actually very uncomfortable for me.
So was this something that happened where you were denied a service or you were denied work? Give us some few more details.
Okay, so the situation was I was in a relationship with someone and I was not allowed to marry this person because he was from another tribe. So it was kind of, uncomfortable. It was back and forth between families. But you don't know this person as I know him. So it's about the people, not about where they're from or what their people are like or what their people have done, etc., etc.
Walking around Nigeria today, I can't distinguish between an Igbo, a Yoruba, a Hausa. So how does it manifest in contemporary Nigerian life?
The other day I was online and then someone, said that the Yoruba tribe formed or made, Nollywood, which is the third biggest movie industry in the world. People were saying, oh, no, this one was struggling. It's the Igbos. And this person said, no, it's the Hausas. Right now on social media, you can see people insulting themselves, people throwing jabs at each other when, given that you're Hausa, you're Yoruba, you're Igbo, it should not be a problem at all.
Yeah, okay. So you asked a very important question. Why the need to identify along tribal lines and not just as Nigeria, as Nollywood, as Afrobeats? Let's ask Henry here because he works for a national agency of orientation, which is basically supposed to unite Nigerians. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with identifying with your tribe, is there? So where does the challenge come in?
Just like what she has said, a lot of things are now happening on social media that is bringing back the memories that have been healed over tribalism back into our system.
Okay, let me talk to somebody who knows a little bit about social media, Samuel, who is a digital strategist. So does this imply then that it's young people, because they're the ones who are majority on social media, who have inherited this disease of tribalism?
Nigeria has about 300 ethnic groups, 500 languages. If you put people of different beliefs in the same place, there's bound to be disagreements, right? I think it's just generally natural that those things would happen. And the younger people don't really care about the differences. If you ask everybody, we don't really care, right? The younger people have their own culture, their own belief systems, and I think this will thrive at the end of the day.
Okay, so I'm hearing here, I'm going to come to you just a second. I'm hearing a lot of, we're really not tribalists, we don't care what tribe you come from, and yet you're telling me that in your politics, sometimes even in your relationships, tribalism is seeping through. Why is that? Let me hear from someone at the back here.
So I witnessed tribalism when I was still in secondary school. A friend of mine who was my namesake, but he was the Delta Igbo, he was not from across the Niger. I was across the Niger. And we got the same cut of McKinney Ben. Engineering. He got it, I didn't get. Started questioning and everything. I went through different places. I started hearing that, because I'm from Delta, my cut-off mark has to be higher than a certain level. It's happening on a secondary level. At that level, education. Imagine what's going to happen, politics, business, every other thing. So I think National Orientation Agency, I don't think they've addressed all these issues.
Well, here is the National Orientation Agency.
Okay, but I will tell you that National Orientation Agency is doing a lot. We are the government.
But he's saying you're doing nothing.
That's what I'm about to tell you. We are the only government agency, apart from security agency, that is present in all the 774 local governments to ensure that, yes, such things are curtailed. And one of them is Federal Character Commission.
Okay.
I don't think the government plays a role in this. I think it is us. Who makes up the government? Individuals. Who makes up the system we're complaining about? Individuals. So these people, you, me, if one of us, they said it takes one person to change a situation. Who is the government? I think we should just stop saying it. It's annoying.
So you see, I said something and we just saw it play out right now. Now, she was offended because she's from Cross River State and they said she was Igbo. Is any crime being an Igbo person? Actually, there's no crime. So no, hold on. I'm going somewhere. Hold on, I'm going somewhere. I know, I'm going somewhere. You got a bit upset because you are trying to make them understand that there are other tribes outside the major tribes, right? Now, that is stated, but I don't see the reason why you should be upset because, hold on.
Your name is Chinedu and someone is saying your name is Adams. No. You cannot rule out your identity.
We cannot rule out identity.
Okay. Hold on. Before we start throwing hands, let's take a deep breath. Make your point.
Okay. So the thing is, you're not supposed to be upset that someone is mistaking your identity. Rather, you educate them.
Okay, Ikechukwu, let me throw the question back at you, because it's similarly to when you travel outside of the continent and you say you're Nigerian and you're introduced to a Kenyan and you're told, well, you all are Africans. There's something about erasing your identity, and I think that's the point that she was trying to make. Let's hear from you, Victor.
Yeah, so I just wanted to tell him that. I just wanted to say same thing you just said. It's not about being offended. It's about your identity. Your identity is about you, who you are. Like my identity is being swept away. I don't like it. I want to be called a man for who I am, not because just because you assume I'm from a certain place, so you just generalize it.
Okay, so while I really am seriously enjoying the enthusiasm of this debate, we really need to come to a wrap up and talk about some solutions. We all see how tribalism is affecting us in different ways. How do we stop it? I
think we have a lot of work to do in our rural communities. The clashes that happen are in the rural area, so the message needs to be driven down to those levels.
Okay, Ifeanyi.
Yeah, so I think it still boils down to the government. If the government is actively representing what it's supposed to represent, people will respect and follow the system. If they do and represent very well, everybody does the same.
Okay.
Wherever they talk about tribalism on the negative side, it's actually come from selfish interest. Let me tell you what tribe is all about in Nigeria. There is this particular kola nut. Kola nut is actually grown in the west, but eaten in the north and celebrated in the east. So this is what tribe is in Nigeria.
Oh, I love that. So at the beginning of this debate, I asked a simple question. Is it possible for the young generation to teach the older generation how to overcome tribalism? I think all of you here have shown resoundingly that the answer is a definite yes. I have never felt so good after discussing something so tenuous. Thank you all for watching.
Jinsi ambavyo binadamu anahitaji lishe bora kwa ajili ya kukua vizuri, basi ndio hivyo kwa mifugo wako. Wanahitaji chakula bora, sio tu chakula. Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tunaangazia Junkao, lishe kwa ng'ombe wako.
Hii nyasi inakuliwa na wanyama wote. Sungura, nguruwe, ng'ombe, mbuzi, kondoo, hata pia kuku. Protein yake iko between 16 and 18%. Ni kama kulisha na dairy milk. Kila siku.
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Leo ni wewe ndio utajitetea ama bado kuna ule
woza kama kawa. Akoheri atakuja tusaidie na wakili.
Wewe si mkoti. Sorry. Pow. Is he your boyfriend?
No.
Thank you very much. Why are you there?
Where?
To that scene when that scene was going on. Unaongeza nini? Kwa hivyo hujamaliza masomo?
Masomo si mimi nilimaliza ndio nafanya kazi kama
just agree with me, please. Hujamaliza. Are we together?
We are not together.
We are together. Don't usipishane na mimi. Are we together? Ulipeana kwa nini ulimpatia?
Nakwambia yeye ndiye alinipatia hiyo.
Kwa nini? Shut up now. I'm coming. Why did you choose that guy instead of choosing me?
Naam, mtazamaji, bado tupo kwenye wiki ya kusherekea siku ya redio ambayo inatarajiwa kuadhimishwa hapo kesho. Kwa hivyo kama hujapata fursa ya kutembelea shirika la KBC kuweza kujifunza tu historia nzima ya redio pale ilipoanzia, vifaa vilivyokuwa vinatumika mpaka mahali tulipofikia sasa hivi, basi fanya budi ama jihimidi uweze kufika katika kituo hiki ili uweze kujionea tu baadhi ya mabadiliko ambayo yametokea katika tasnia nzima ya wanahabari, tukigusia swala zima la redio. Karibu sana kwenye habari zetu za Kurunzi Mashinani, ikiwa leo ni Alhamisi tarehe 12 mwezi wa pili mwaka 2026. Karibu sana, Kasichana Masha ikiwa ndio jina langu. Na kituo cha redio cha shirika la KBC Pwani FM kiliendelea kuadhimisha wiki ya redio kwa mbwembwe, huku kikiwaalika wageni kuzuru makao yake katika jumba la Sauti mjini Mombasa. Kupitia fursa za kutangamana, kujifunza na kusherekea na watangazaji, shirika la KBC linajenga mahusiano na kizazi kijacho cha watangazaji wa redio. Katika jumba la Sauti mjini Mombasa, makundi ya wanafunzi walimiminika kujiunga na wafanyikazi wa shirika la KBC kuadhimisha wiki ya redio. Wanafunzi walipata fursa ya kujionea studio za redio na kujumuika na watangazaji.
Na mtazamaji, maisha hayana uhakika, haujui kama kesho itafika. Kwa wako mpekuzi Bi Fatima Mohamed.
Waziri wa Jinsia na Utamaduni katika kaunti ya Kilifi, Dama Masha, alisifia shirika la KBC kwa kujitolea kuwaelimisha na kuelekeza wanafunzi katika eneo hilo.
Ningependa kupongeza kituo hiki kwa kukuza mila na tamaduni za Kipwani kupitia kipindi tunachokienzi cha Dobe Dobeza.
Tuna appreciate the community kwa kueleza radio ni nini, pale tulianzia, our role and what we do.
Redio ya Pwani FM hupeperusha matangazo yake katika eneo la Mwambao, huku ikijitolea kuendelea kutoa habari sahihi kwa wakati ufaao katika enzi hii ya akili unde, mbali na kukuza mahusiano ya kijamii. Na mtazamaji, niacha nikupeleke katika bunge la kitaifa ambapo naarifiwa kwamba waziri wa usalama wa ndani Bwana Kiptum Murkomen yupo katika majengo hayo akizungumzia tu hali ya usalama hapa nchini baada ya tu kuzuru baadhi ya maeneo yanayokumbwa na ukosefu wa usalama ama uhaba wa usalama hapa nchini. Acha tusikilize.
Ongoing drought. But I'm standing here, Mr. Speaker, today to bring an issue of unlawlessness in Marara town. Mr. Speaker, of late we are experiencing a lot of challenges because of the gangs who are building up in our towns. I'm talking about Wamba town and Marara town. Recently there is a group of gangs that are really terrorizing people in Marara town. They break into shops, they steal shops in broad daylight, they break into homes. Now they have resorted even to kill people using their knives. And this is happening in broad daylight, Mr. Speaker, when we have all the security agencies in Marara town. And even today, even last week, we buried a young man because he was stabbed by people who are coming to come and steal his chicken. Mr. Speaker, it's so sad for us to be burying people just because of gangs that are building up in Marara town in presence of all the security agencies. In Marara town, that is the headquarters of the county. And that is where we have all the agencies staying there. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the minister, please, because we have officers who have overstayed in those stations, and they have gotten used to the culture, and they're just like, they're not doing anything. So I'm kindly asking the minister if they can transfer all the security officers who have overstayed in Marara, so that we can have people who can protect the security, who can provide security and protect people and their properties, because it's really getting out of hand. We are losing people each and every day, even those who are going to the Soko to sell their goods and even to provide food to the people who are living far from the towns. But they are attacked on the way, they are killed, and nothing is happening. Nobody is being arrested. So we don't know how long we are going to experience this. How many more lives are we going to lose so that people can act? How many more homes can be broken into so that people can act? So I'm kindly requesting that this time we need an action, and if nothing can be done, people are going to protest in our towns. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Number 5, Nabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is specific. Waziri, what are you doing to ensure that the resources available to you is equitably distributed in all parts of the country. I'm saying this because out of 5 police stations in my 2 sub-counties, only 1 has a vehicle.
Thank you. Number 6.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my question goes to the CS that incidents of banditry and cattle rustling are increasingly taking shape in Turkana County, despite the ongoing operation in some parts of the Kerio Valley. And I wish to ask, because most of these raids are taking place in oil-rich areas, is there any relationship between what is going on in that particular place, because there's been FDP public participation going on in Turkana County, and these are areas where these particular raids are taking place. And if the government, and what measures is the government putting in place to ensure that these bandits that are not running away from their areas where the operation is taking place to come and terrorize people from areas that do not have insecurity areas? Is the government taking any measure to contain these people so that they don't run away from where they are currently, so that the operation or the SOG can be able to get there? Thank you.
Number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Minister, we've had the gazettement of 5 locations and 9 sub-locations, but they've not been operationalized. As such, we have a security problem in Kisumu East. We have tried to work with the community policing. They're not able to help us because they're not being paid, and the policy and operationalization of community policing is not working. Finally, Mr. Chairway, NGCDF has put together 4 police stations lately. We have no vehicles, and there's encroachment in some of the police station government land. I've approached the ACC on this, and I request the Minister to kindly look into this and supply us the 4 police vehicles that the IG had said he would send to us. Thank you, sir.
Number 8.
Mr. Speaker, swali langu ni juu ya utovu wa usalama Lamu. Kwa nini tumeng'ang'ana kwa karibu miaka 5 tunang'ang'ana tupate sub-county ya Kiunga Ward, hatupati, na tunajua kule sababu ya logistic challenges, geographical position yetu ya Lamu, kuna island na mainland, na kwa sababu ya utovu wa usalama tunafaa kupata sub-county, lakini tumefata sheria zote zinazotakikana, lakini hatupati sub-county. Sijui ni kwa sababu vile, manake mimi Speaker nimeshindwa, nimeng'ang'ana, nimetuma mabarua, nimeenda hizo ofisi paka nimechoka, siendi tena, nimeenda jukwaa la usalama, pahali popote waziri anapokuwa yuko mimi naenda kuuliza. Labda nyinyi Speaker hapa na wenzangu munisaidie, manake mimi nimeshindwa, nimetafuta njia zote hawanipi. So labda jibu lije kwa Speaker sasa, kwa sababu sitaki hata kwangu, manake wanaitikia vizuri kisha inaenda hivyo. Au ni kwa sababu wameweka chief ambaye analipwa karibu miaka 5 sahihi na haezi kukaa kwetu, kwa sababu chief wa sehemu nyingine amewekwa kwetu, ndio hamtaki kutupa sub county, na chief huyo haezi kukaa kwetu, na hatutakubali huyo chief aje akae kwetu. Hata ikibidi ni kufanya vipi, hata kaa, kwa sababu ile ni kwetu, hatuwezi kubali sehemu yetu iende sehemu zingine. Sijui sababu ni hiyo. Pia Speaker, kule Lamu kuna curfew kwa miaka 15. Curfew tu siku zote, kila ikifika saa 12 jioni Lamu huwezi ingia wala kutoka. Huwezi ingia na ndege wala huwezi toka. Hata kukiwa na emergency usiku ni hatari. Ishatokea emergencies usiku, hakuna ndege inaweza ingia. Kweli security ni paramount, lakini hizo siku zote hakuna solution inapatikana mpaka sasa. Wakati wa COVID lockdown tu sehemu kidogo mlikuwa mnaona shida. Sisi tumekuwa na lockdown miaka 15, ni haki? Hata kwa Mwenyezi Mungu ni haki? Mna nia gani na Lamu? Na Spika, wale polisi wote ambao hawatakikani, utasikia hakuna ati sheria ya kupeleka punishment kule. Kwangu naweza kuletea listi kwako Spika, sipeleki listi huko. Nitakuletea mimi, niko na paka namba zao za kazi, nitakuletea wewe list. Watu polisi ambao paka president akienda kwangu anaekewa polisi kama wawili wamchunge sija kaleta aibu. Wanakunywa tembo tu na kukaa kwa sababu ni stress kwao, wamekaa zaidi ya miaka 7. Wako naweza kuletea list.
Sawa. Kemei number 9.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And my question goes to the CS concerning the security of teachers, and especially in Kericho County. Honorable Speaker, when the results were released, the KCSC, this particular school, Moise Totwet, where parents, when the results were not good, the parents waited for the teachers outside the compound and they threatened the teachers just because of the poor performance. Here, even in wherever. So the security.
Na mwanahabari wetu wamekita kambi katika bunge hilo, na watakapokuwa na taarifa kamili kuhusu yanayojiri basi utayapata mwendo wa saa 7 na taarifa zetu hapo jioni. Tukisonga mbele, wanafunzi wa shule jumuishi ya Joel Omino walipata fursa ya kutangamana na watangazaji nguli na chipukizi wa shirika la utangazaji humu nchini KBC kaunti ya Kisumu. Ziara hiyo ya wanafunzi ilikuwa sehemu ya shughuli za juma moja zinazoandaliwa na shirika hili kuangazia ukuaji wa redio, ambazo kilele chake kitakuwa siku ya redio duniani hapo kesho.
Hao huonekana kwa mbali tu kwenye runinga au kusikika kwenye redio. Lakini hapo jana, wanafunzi wa shule jumuishi ya Joel Omino kutoka mtaa wa Mabanda wa Nyalenda mjini Kisumu walipata fursa ya kukurubiana kwa karibu na watangazaji wa wapendao.
Which radio station is this?
Wanafunzi hao walisimulia historia ya redio na linalohitajika ili kuwa mwanahabari.
Radio is a very adaptive medium, and it keeps evolving with time, from the time that it was invented. And in Kenya, radio keeps growing. At Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, it's equally growing with over 13 radio stations. And we would encourage our learners to consider taking a career in radio.
Walimu na wanafunzi kwa pamoja walielezea kuridhishwa na utangamano huo, wakisema huenda ukawashawishi kuwa watangazaji wa redio.
I want to say I've learned so much and I'm going to put this into practice. In our journalism club, we have never been taught this. But today, to those who have not been here and they are from the journalism club, from right away straight now, we are going to have a journalism club meeting. We discuss all this and how to put them into impact.
Najua kwamba teknolojia iko na sehemu yake ambayo ni nzuri na sehemu yake mbaya. Kwa hivyo wanafunzi hawa wakielimishwa kuhusu akili bandia kwa matumizi yake kikamilifu kwa njia inayofaa ambayo inaweza kuwasaidia katika elimu na masomo yao, si jambo mbaya.
Siku ya redio ulimwenguni itaadhimishwa hapo kesho, huku shirika la KBC likichukua hatua kabambe kuhakikisha maadhimisho hayo ni ya kufaana.
Which radio station?
Wanawake kutoka kijiji cha Miguta katika eneo bunge la Githunguri waliandamana kulalamikia ongezeko la uuzaji na utumizi wa pombe haramu na mihadarati katika eneo hilo. Walielezea wasiwasi kwamba ubugiaji pombe haramu umeharibu familia na kusababisha maafa, hasa miongoni mwa wanaume na vijana. Walitaka uchunguzi wa haraka kuthibitisha viwango vya pombe inayouzwa kwenye vilabu vya eneo hilo, wakihofia kwamba baadhi ya bidhaa hizo huenda zikahatarisha maisha.
Tumesika watoto 4. Sasa tunasema enough is enough. Tunataka hii pombe serikali yetu ichukue ni pombe gani hii inaua watoto. Juu kuua watoto ni kuua ile generation inakuja.
Baadhi ya wafanyabiashara katika kaunti ya Nakuru wamewasilisha ombi kwa bunge la Seneti kusitisha mjadala kuhusu mswada wa tumbaku ili kutoa fursa kwa ushirikishi zaidi wa umma. Walieleza wasiwasi kwamba iwapo mswada uliopendekezwa utapitishwa jinsi ulivyo, huenda ukachangia kukua kwa biashara haramu ya tumbaku humu nchini. Taarifa hii na nyingine ni katika mkusanyiko wa Dira ya Kaunti.
No flavors, no tobacco.
Marekebisho ya mswada wa kudhibiti tumbaku wa mwaka 2024 yaliyowasilishwa katika bunge la Seneti yananuia kupiga marufuku matumizi ya viungo vya kuongeza ladha kwenye sigara na poda zenye nikotini, huku yakiweka vidhibiti katika bidhaa nyingine za tumbaku. Kupitia msemaji wake Boniface Gashoka, chama cha wahudumu wa baa, hoteli na wauzaji wa mvinyo kinadai kwamba kupiga marufuku viungo vya kuongeza ladha kutatoa fursa kwa Wakenya kujitosa katika matumizi ya bidhaa haramu zisizodhibitiwa.
Hii sheria ambayo tunaletewa ya Tobacco Amendment Bill, the best thing ambayo itatusaidia ni increase illicit trade further. We are the people who are closer to the consumers. So sisi ndio tunajua maoni ambayo consumers wametoa.
Kwingineko katika kaunti ya Kisii, washiriki katika warsha ya umma iliyoandaliwa na kamati ya idara ya fedha ya bunge la kitaifa pamoja na kamati ya mipango ya kitaifa walitilia tashwishi pendekezo la serikali la kuuza hisa za kampuni ya Safaricom, wakionyesha kutoridhishwa kwao na matumizi ya fedha kutokana na madai ya ufisadi wa mara kwa mara.
Kenyans are really suffering because of corruption.
It's a good idea, yes, but I don't think the implementation will take place.
Kando na hayo, polisi katika kaunti ya Mombasa wamehakikishia jamii ya Waislamu usalama wa kutosha wakati wa mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhan, huku wasiwasi ukiibuka kuhusiana na mashambulizi yanayotekelezwa na genge la vijana katika eneo hilo.
We shall deal with terrorists with the full force it deserves.
Wakati huo huo, familia ya aliyekuwa shujaa wa Mau Mau marehemu Jenerali Kiambati Wanjora wametoa wito kwa serikali kutambua rasmi wajibu wake katika vita vya ukombozi nchini na kumzika kwa heshima.
We have been appealing through writing and even calls, visitations, and give us some hope that our dad is also recognizable.
Na kama njia moja ya kuhamasisha watu kuhusiana na athari za matumizi ya mihadarati, Frederick Ochieng ameanza safari ya kuendesha baiskeli kutoka mji wa mpakani wa Moyale kuelekea Busia, ambayo anatumai kukamilisha tarehe 3 mwezi Machi.
Ili nipate kupitia kaunti 14, nipate kuhamasisha hata kama sitaokoa wote, bali nitaokoa percent kidogo ambaye inaweza kuokoa taifa letu baadaye.
Michael Mwandiga, Kurunzi Mashinani.
Na gavana wa kaunti ya Nairobi Johnson Sakaja amekanusha madai kwamba serikali ya kaunti imehamisha baadhi ya majukumu yake kwa serikali ya taifa, ikiwemo ukusanyaji takataka na ukarabati wa barabara. Katika hotuba yake kwa bunge la kaunti, Sakaja alisema serikali ya kaunti inashirikiana na serikali ya taifa kuboresha utoaji huduma kwa wakazi wa jiji la Nairobi.
Kumekuwa na uvumi kwamba serikali ya kaunti ya Nairobi imeafikiana na serikali ya taifa kuhusu uhamisho wa baadhi ya majukumu yake, madai ambayo gavana Johnson Sakaja amekanusha.
The functions bestowed upon the county government of Nairobi by the constitution will remain county functions. We shall not transfer any functions of the county of Nairobi. Nairobi is not just a county, it is a capital city. So of course collaboration with the national government is inevitable. In fact, it is encouraged.
Sakaja alisema kuhamisha majukumu ya serikali ya kaunti kwa serikali ya taifa kutakuwa sawa na kuwasaliti wakazi wa jiji hili.
I honor the mandate given to me by the people of Nairobi. They entrusted me with the constitutional powers to transform this city. I will not betray that trust.
Majukumu yaliyodaiwa kuhamishwa kwa serikali ya taifa ni ukusanyaji wa takataka, ukarabati wa barabara, ujenzi na usambazaji maji. Sakaja hata hivyo alikiri kuwepo kwa makubaliano baina ya kaunti na serikali ya taifa.
We are pursuing procedures using the Urban Areas and Cities Act that talk about the capital city to enhance support in infrastructure, but the city will continue to be governed as a county government.
Alisisitiza kwamba majukumu muhimu jijini yataendelea kuwa chini ya serikali ya kaunti, huku akilaumu shirika la usimamizi wa jiji lililovunjwa, akisema lilirundikia serikali ya kaunti deni la shilingi bilioni 16.
This governor, Sakaja Arthur Johnson, shall never go in that direction.
Maelfu ya wasafiri wameanza safari ya kila mwaka kwenda kusherehekea mwaka mpya wa Kichina. Misongamano ilianza kushuhudiwa siku ya Jumatatu, huku idadi ya wasafiri mwaka huu ikitarajiwa kuvunja rekodi. Mengi zaidi ni kwenye makala ya Ifahamu China.
Kuanzia siku ya kwanza, vituo vya usafiri vilishuhudia ongezeko la abiria waliobeba mizigo na matumaini ya kuungana na familia zao kwa sherehe za jadi. Kwa wengi, safari hii si ya kawaida, ni kurejea nyumbani kwa hisia, kumbukumbu na mila zilizorithiwa kizazi hadi kizazi.
Nitaenda kurusha fataki tulizocheza nazo utotoni, kisha kupika chakula cha mkesha wa mwaka mpya na kushiriki chakula cha nyumbani pamoja na familia. Ninajisikia furaha sana kurudi nyumbani. Nitawaona wazazi wangu, jamaa na ndugu zangu. Ni mkusanyiko mkubwa wa kifamilia.
Katika kituo cha reli cha Beijing South, mojawapo vituo vikuu vya usafiri nchini China, maandalizi yamefanywa kupokea msimu wenye shughuli nyingi. Uongozi wa kituo hicho unasema zaidi ya abiria milioni 5.7 wanatarajiwa kusafirishwa kwa jumla, huku wastani wa zaidi ya watu 140,000 wakiondoka kila siku.
Tunatarajia kuwahudumia takriban abiria milioni 5.7 kwa jumla, huku safari za kila siku zikifikia wastani wa zaidi ya abiria 140,000.
Kitaifa, mamlaka zinasema safari za kuvuka pamoja na abiria wa reli na anga zinatarajiwa kufikia viwango vya juu zaidi kuwahi kushuhudiwa. Ili kukidhi mahitaji, zaidi ya treni 14,000 za abiria zitaendeshwa kila siku katika kilele cha msimu, kuhakikisha mamilioni wanafika salama nyumbani kusherehekea sikukuu ya familia.
Haya mtazamaji, tumefika tamati ya taarifa zetu, lakini kama tulivyokudokezea hapo awali ni kwamba bado tunaadhimisha wiki ya kusherehekea siku ya redio ambayo inafaa kuadhimishwa hapo kesho, na leo tupo na mmoja wale ambao umekuwa ukimsikiliza, yule ambaye umekuwa ukimsikiliza kwenye redio, leo utakuwa unamuona kwenye runinga. Kwa hivyo kaa ange, usibanduke kwenye runinga yako. Tutakuwa tunarudi na mazungumzo ya tamrini, lakini kwanza ni kuache katika bunge la kitaifa ambapo waziri Kiptum yupo huko akizungumzia hali ya usalama wa taifa.
Because these people are being maintained using resources. And the same way we have bandits in other parts of the country, these are urban bandits, you know, that are actually terrorizing citizens. And Mr. Speaker, every time a crackdown is done, the same way you've seen in some parts of Nairobi, we see that political leaders are supporting them. The judiciary is not even doing better. A situation happens like the one that Parliament was invaded. We are investigating some members of Parliament, political leaders, their sponsors, and then they go and get anticipatory bail, Mr. Speaker, that they cannot be charged. And then, you know, it is okay to say to get anticipatory bail that you cannot be arrested, but you can't give someone anticipatory bail that he cannot be charged. Because if the evidence is existing, that person should be charged. Let the courts weigh the evidence, Mr. Speaker, and determine whether or not that evidence meets the threshold to convict the person. But you cannot deny the National Criminal Enforcement System an opportunity to present that person before court. And the reason why this disease of gangs and goons is persisting, Mr. Speaker, is because they have their own collaborators in the judiciary. And some magistrates are already on standby, Mr. Speaker, to release people who have banned courts, attempted to ban parliament, banned police stations, Mr. Speaker, steal guns, and banned even public facilities, including schools, people's shops, people's markets. So, Speaker, when we said we are going to charge people for terror, we meant it because the Constitution The Anti-Terrorism Act is very clear that if you are carrying out activities that are meant to scare people, wide-scale in nature, including burning of houses, including stealing guns, including, Mr. Speaker, scaring a section of population, you're supposed to be charged for terrorism. You know, people think that terrorism is just because of cross-border or an enemy coming from elsewhere. A terrorist can be sitting in such a very beautiful chamber, Mr. Speaker, and perpetuating certain acts. Why we must be rough on the question of gangs is that it is no longer confined to Nairobi. In the old days, we used to have Jeshi la Mzee and some other characters in Nairobi, Kisumu. But now villages have gangs. Mr. Speaker, in Kitale, for example, in Saboti constituency, I'm forgetting, we have this gang in, they're called Kapenguria 6, who are operating around Kitale. And you know, invading people's farms and you know all that. We have another gang that is 47 brothers, 42 brothers, operating generally around Western, including in Butere. Mr. Speaker, we went very hard on the Butere gang, and you can see the stealing of the cows and invading people's farms has gone down. But Mr. Speaker, they just go down kidogo and then they come up because they get the incentive from political leaders who are paying them. So, Mr. Speaker, if I was to speak freely here, facing all of you here, I would mention names of people here who have gangs. Yeah, Mr. Speaker. And because, Mr. Speaker, because Mr. Speaker, no, that's okay. Because, Mr. Speaker, these are intelligence reports that we have. I would rather allow the DCI to continue the investigation to get the proper evidence that can test can stand the test of prosecution before the court of law. Mr. Speaker, if we come for you or on these gangs, please don't think that we are doing it because of political reasons. We're just doing it to save you, because these gangs, when they turn against you in future, you are not going to live a very good life. And I have spoken to some of my friends here personally and told them, please leave that business of supporting or abetting gangs. Mr. Speaker, on terms of prosecution, I agree with Majority Leader. We will continue. I think we need to continue pushing for the judiciary to allow us to take these people to court. Mr. Speaker, on the question of yes, on the question of yes, I agree, and I need to come back to this House later on the details of what we will do or what we are still doing about the June 25th invasion of Parliament, among others. Mr. Speaker, last statement, let me say this. No politician should come to us thinking that they are coming with clean hands. I see some of them going to issue press statements because his gangs have been overpowered by the gangs of his opponent, you know? So because you lost the battle that day, you call a press conference. And you know, you accuse the police, you accuse the government, you have a selective memory of mentioning my name, you know, and become even tribal in terms of determining which police officer or public officer you are going to mention. Mr. Speaker, we are not...
Haya mtazamaji, shukran sana. Hayo ni matangazo moja kwa moja kutoka Bunge la Kitaifa, na siku ya leo karibu sana kwenye upande wetu wa pili kwanza wa Tamrini, ambapo hapa tunadavua mada kadha wa kadha zinazokugusia wewe mkazi wa mashinani. Na siku ya leo kama nilivyokuwa nimekugusia ni kwamba tunaendelea kuadhimisha wiki ya redio, kusherekea tu siku ya redio ambayo tunatarajia kuadhimisha hapo kesho, kueleza tu safari ya redio kule ilikoanzia na mahali ilipofikia na watangazaji, mabadiliko ambayo yamekuja, ni jinsi gani wanaweza kukabiliana nayo na kuingiana nayo kuhakikisha kwamba hawaachwi nje. Kasichana Masha ndio jina langu, niko naye Caroline kama mkalimani wa lugha ishara, na mgeni wangu wa siku ya leo, hata kabla nimtambulishe, nataka atuanzishe na kibwagi tayari kukukaribia kwa kichwa Taifa Radio inaongoza, wengine kufuata nyuma. Karibu. Leo naanza kwamba ujasiri